At 100 grand, Ross, with The Rock Never Stops. Folks has really slept on Jaden Ivey. I mean, folks is like, it's almost lightweight disrespectful. The fact that people forgot so fast, so fast. I mean, maybe it's just a indication of the era we are in, of social media content, uh, things being streamed live. You can play it back. There's just so much content and information out there. It's easy to forget something that you saw only a few months ago. But when it comes to Jaden Ivey, I think what's most disappointing is seeing other Pistons fans completely forget about just how talented he is. And look, if you followed my channel, you understand that before this season, I had been as critical of Jaden Ivey as anyone else. Point blank. I was like, look, man, he turning it over left and right. You can't trust him with the ball in his hands. He's erratic. He doesn't read the game fast enough. He's not making the play in the right time, and he's just unreliable. And then on top of that, he was a terrible defender coming into the NBA as a rookie. And it wasn't just like bad; he was like one of the worst defenders in the NBA as a rookie. So if anyone understands, it's me. But one of the things that I try to pride myself on my channel, uh, doing content for the Detroit Pistons and the NBA, is that I grow, right? I adjust. I recognize that I'm seeing something different than what I saw in the past. And with that adjustment, I can then say, okay, you know what? Let me take this in mind, right? Let me factor this in. The reality is when it comes to Jaden Ivey, he has had a learning curve. He's had a hell of a journey through the first 3 years of his career. As a rookie, he was basically kind of handed the reins of saying, "Hey, run point for us because Cade is injured, and we don't have other veterans who can play it at a higher level than you can. So we'd rather develop you." Now that was Dwayne Casey and Troy Weaver's decision, right? I thought it was a good decision. Let Jaden Ivey run the point. Let him develop his skills. He turned the ball over a lot, wasn't a good defender, terrible defender. And I was kind of like, I don't know if he's really got it. But the reality was he still averaged, I want to say, and let me pull up the stats here because I like to make sure I have my stats when I talk about it. Jaden Ivey averaged, put it up here. As a rookie, Jaden Ivey played 74 games in 31 minutes. He averaged 16 and a half points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. And he averaged over 3 turnovers a game. The turnovers were horrible. The defense was horrible. But he averaged 16 points and 5 assists. So the talent was there. It wasn't a measure of like, can this guy hoop? Can he play in the NBA? It was clear. He didn't make the all rookie teams, but he was effective. He was a player. He showed that he was built for this NBA. He showed the reason why they were considering him to be the number one pick in the NBA draft, which, of course, it was Paolo Banchero and then it was Chet Holmgren and Jabari Smith Jr. But you have to understand there was a reason why he was in consideration in the first place. Jaden Ivey was being considered for the number one pick in the draft because of just how damn talented he was. And despite the terrible defense, despite the turnovers, he was still able to average 16 points a game. Some people might think that that's a small matter, that's just like, oh, yeah. But when you compare him to other players who have come into the NBA, very few of them are ever given the opportunity to run the show, to develop their skills at that level, let alone average 16 points a game. So the fact that he did that as a rookie was already alluding to his potential being legitimate. Now, we all know his sophomore campaign, Monty Williams comes in. Troy Weaver is still there, but the owner, gets involved and brings in his guy. And next thing you know, Monty Williams is like, look, bro, I can't trust you. I can't trust you, and I'm here to win. So because I can't trust you, I'm going to put you on the bench. And that was the whole Monty Williams fiasco of last season. And Jaden Ivey had to learn, if you're going to earn trust for a team that's trying to win, you're going to have to contribute in other ways, which is something that I've always talked about on this channel. That it's not just enough to be able to score. It's not just enough to be able to shoot the ball. You have to figure out how to contribute to winning in a myriad of ways. Because if you don't, well, when a defense takes away that one thing that you can do, all of a sudden you become useless, right? And we see this in the finals, we've seen it in the playoffs. One trick ponies don't last long and they're not effective in the playoffs. Jaden Ivey learned that lesson last season with Monty Williams. If you're not going to defend, if you're not going to take care of the ball, you're not going to see the court. Now, of course, we all know how it goes. Eventually, Jaden Ivey is starting to get minutes, and then he proves, yo, even with the defense that was on struggle, which he did step up last season into this season, and the turnovers, he's still a valuable contributor to winning on a team. Fast forward to this past season. It's the official adjustment period, right? His rookie year, he was the lead guard. Cade was out. His sophomore year, he's unfairly on the bench. And the way Jaden Ivey is built, if you listen to him, if you watch him, he very much so is like Russell Westbrook alongside of Kevin Durant, like fire and ice, fire and ice. Of course, Westbrook and Ivy is the fire. But the way they're built is like they always believe they're the best player on the court. They always believe that they're him. And that's important because that mentality is what allows someone to become him. Whether you're the 1A or 1B, to become a 1 for a playoff team, right? The primary scorer, shot creator, playmaker, facilitator, the individual who you are going to utilize to be the fulcrum of an offensive engine, right? That fire that just lights the whole engine and gets it going to a playoff level. You have to have someone who believes he's him. Confidence, and we sometimes call it irrational confidence, but I just think it's confidence at its highest level is imperative if you are going to play and perform at the highest level. Jaden Ivey has that. So now we fast forward to this year. I thought he took one of the biggest jumps of a third-year player throughout the NBA because he settled into his game and how to maximize its effectiveness for their team's winning. Jaden Ivey was able to shoot, I believe it's like 46%. Let me pull up the exact stats here. This season, in only 30 minutes a game, only playing the first 30, but he started all 30. He shot 46% from the field, 41% from the three-point line. To me, that was one of the biggest jumps I could have seen from Jaden Ivey. It means that you're figuring out how to maximize your potential and your talent to help your team to win. Efficiency is king. Now, it's also productivity and health and stuff like that, but efficiency speaks more to your team's long-term success than just producing. There are a lot of guys who produce, right? Benedict Mathurin can produce points. His efficiency, his consistency, that's where we separate between the two. When I looked at Jaden Ivey's ascension this year, for those of us who have watched, I'm just only going to do a quick recap because we've heard a lot of this before. And if you haven't, well, that's because you sleep. Jaden Ivey was ascending this season. From October to November to December, he was gradually taking jumps. And when I say jumps, those game winners were not accidental. Against the Toronto Raptors, against the Sacramento Kings, those were not coincidental. Oh, he just kind of, last second got a kick out. No, he created a shot for himself and hit it, a tough contested shot to win the game. The reason why that's a big deal is because it takes a level of self-belief, not just in your game, but also you had to have worked on those shots enough to be able to know what you're going to go to be able to get that shot off. And the fact that he was able to get it off and make it speaks to just how talented he is. Now we all know Sacramento Kings, right? Gets the ball in the corner, takes that little dribble step, pull up, gets fouled on the three-point make, another game winner against De'Aaron Fox. All right, knocks down the free throw. Detroit Pistons win. He was ascending. If you watch throughout the season, Before he got injured, there were times when Cade Cunningham would come out the game, it would become the Jaden Ivey show. He would take over for stretches, get 2, 3 buckets in a row. He would score, hit a three, get a layup, breakaway dunk. Then he would get 2 assists. And all of a sudden, in the span of 5 minutes, he's responsible for 10 to 12 points. Got to the free throw line, getting downhill, collapsing the defense. You see the offense continue to run at a high level because Jaden Ivey was on the court making plays. It reminds us a lot of SGA and JDub and how they orchestrate that continuity between the two of them for the Oklahoma City Thunder. When you watch them in the finals, you recognize that they have learned as soon as the other one comes into the game and the other one's coming off the court, the other one presses. The other one pushes. The other one looks to get out in transition, straight line drives, attacking the basket, maximizing their physical tools and skill to be able to create opportunities for themselves. There's not a lot of guys who can do that at this level, at a playoff level, NBA Finals level. And some of the things that helps is just having certain things in your favor, right? J-Dub, he's just a hair under 6'6", about 6'5", 3/4, but he's got a 7'2" wingspan. And he's an explosive athlete with a good, really good first step, that quick twitch. The reason why that's important is because when other teams are playing really good defense, if not great defense on you, physical tools can be a huge difference maker. Talk about Kawhi Leonard and Michael Jordan. We talk about their length. We also talk about their hand size, right? To be able to palm the ball gave them distinct advantages. So even if you played amazing defense, they could just do something like this and move the ball around you and score. Right? Shaquille O'Neal wasn't just that he was that nimble, but he also had the dexterity, right? To be able to reach around you and finish jump hooks, soft touch, right? Extremely soft hands on top of being extremely nimble and powerful and explosive, right? With a 7'7" wingspan at 7'2", 350 pounds, right? Like the physical tools combined with the skill, combined with the motor, combined with the will and the self-belief all come together and puts you so much further ahead of the rest in those high leverage moments like in NBA Finals. What we're seeing now with SGA and J-Dub is that they have the physical tools combined with the skill, combined with the belief in themselves to be able to perform at the highest level when it matters the most. And it separates you from others, right? J-Dub and SGA were able to go through Minnesota because they were the best two players. Denver was probably the closest series. If I'm honest with you, I thought Denver was going to win that if Aaron Gordon didn't get hurt. Hitting that game winner early on, having the distinct size advantage, um, and being able to pound them on the glass, I think that really changed things for that series. But when Aaron Gordon went down, he was an essential piece defensively and offensively, with the rebounding and being able to keep OKC from getting out in transition. Also, his ability to play make and facilitate from another position, from that third position, outside of Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, also freed up everyone else as well. So they were really tight knit, synergistic starting five group that needed everyone healthy to overcome OKC. But that's only a testament to how good and dominant the Oklahoma City Thunder are. All that's to say is that when you go throughout the playoffs, there's very few individuals uh, who have a combination of 1, 2, who have that level of talent, physical intangibles, right? Physical abilities, giftings, fast twitch, leaping ability, size, positional size, length, things like that, on top of skill and confidence. There's very few teams who have 1 and 2. Most teams just have one if they're lucky. OKC has two. And I believe the Detroit Pistons, they might have 3 or 4. They might have 3 or 4. But this video, I'm going to get to the big four, the Pistons big four later. That's going to be, it's a theme. You're going to see it in my videos. And I'm going to get to the comments as well, because I definitely like to respond to the comments. What's going on, Hunter? What's going on, Broderick Hunter? But those physical intangibles, being able to see the effectiveness that that has at the highest level in the NBA Finals should excite Detroit Piston fans about Jaden Ivey. It should. 100% should. Because when you look at those physical giftings, Jaden Ivey, as he figures it out, is going to realize that he can leverage those physical gifts at any point in time. But what I love about his game is he's not dependent upon them. His shooting ability alone, his shooting ability alone allows him to translate the rest of his talents that much more. He shot a higher three-point shooter than Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley this year. He's probably one of the better shooters in the when you look at how many NBA players who took about 5 or more attempts shot over 40%, he's one of the few. I don't know if y'all got those stats to pull up in the chat. I always appreciate it when y'all help me out with the stats in the chat, but I guarantee he's one of the few. All right, I'm just gonna get to this chat here. Having those mitts is a game changer. Facts, along with an exceptional skill set. 100%. J Dub's ability to manipulate the defense with his handle while also exploding to the rim and having the physical ability to score against bigger defenders while overpowering smaller defenders, it constantly positions him to be in a mismatch situation. And Pascal Siakam, as good as he's been for them, Aaron Nesmith, as good as they have been together defensively, they have not had an answer for J-Dub throughout the series. I believe he's had 4 straight games of 25 points or more in the NBA Finals. Game 2, Game 3, Game 4, Game 5. And he exploded, of course, for this 40-point game in Game 5. This is an ascension of a player. And what came to me last night was, damn, could Jaden Ivey have a similar ascension? If I'm honest with y'all, I think Jaden Ivey would have looked amazing in the playoffs against the New York Knicks. I think it would have been an absolute problem for the New York Knicks. Do I think he would have struggled with his turnovers? Yes. Just like K did, just like Duran did, just like Asar Thompson did. But their talent, meaning their physical giftings in combination of their skill and development, creates a problem for any team. Any team in the NBA is going to have an issue with the Detroit Pistons' Big Four. It is a legitimate Big Four. So when I think about what next season looks like, oh shit, man, y'all, for those of y'all who keep saying Cade needs help, those of y'all who keep talking about trades, I know Trey Murphy's been thrown out there. I'm not mad at Trey Murphy. I just like continuity over bringing in players constantly to change up your core. I don't think you do that until you know for sure you need to. So I don't see Trey Murphy as a target, even though he's a really good player at only 24 years old. When I look at Jaden Ivey and how he was able to change pace when Cade would come out the game or when Cade Cunningham was struggling throughout a game, especially usually in that second quarter type period into the third quarter. What he showed me is that he's not a Robin to a Batman. Jaden Ivey showed me that he's an Iron Man next to Captain America. He's Thor next to the Hulk. He is another Marvel Avenger next to another Marvel Avenger. Trying to split hairs between who's better, it's like, it's more about who does what and how to maximize their effectiveness. Because better, well, you're splitting hairs. That's how talented he is. Now, I can say that for sure, Cade is a better facilitator. He definitely has a deeper bag. I think Ivy might be a better shooter. Cade is a better rebounder and probably defender at this point. So I think across the board, he's better. But also, Cade has been in the league longer. And I also, even though I don't see, just like I don't see J-Dub ever getting to SGA's level, I don't necessarily see Jaden Ivey ever getting to Cade Cunningham's level. But that doesn't mean that he can't be Jaylen Brown next to Jason Tatum. That doesn't mean that he can't be J-Dub next to SGA. That he can't be a 1B That even if I'm not him, I'm still him, right? Kobe playing alongside Shaq was never Shaq, but damn it, he was Kobe, and you had to worry about him. I think that that's the future for Jaden Ivey. I think that next season, we not only see him repeat what he did this past season in terms of efficiency, I think we see his volume go up in terms of shooting. I think we see his minutes take a major jump. I think he's somewhere around 35 minutes a game versus 29 minutes a game this season. I think we see a bounce back season that should be absolutely terrifying for the league. I think we see a Jaden Ivey who's focused and locked in, looking to prove people wrong. But where I see the biggest jump is going to be his commitment to defense. Look, Asar Thompson has the type of gravitational defense that pulls guys in to wanting to meet him on his level, to match his energy, to say, I'm not going to be the weak link. Not when I got this guy creating havoc. Not when I got this guy getting steals and blocks, getting out in transition, snatching rebounds, heading down the other way. Not when I have this dynamic of a player on my team. I want to play up to him, right? We saw that was a major shift in the Detroit Pistons when Asar Thompson went into that starting lineup. Jalen Duren's defense improved. Tobias Harris's defense improved. Cade Cunningham's defense improved. Tim Hardaway Jr. even looked like a moderately okay defender because Asar Thompson was able to do so much. Now, what happens when you get other guys bought in? Well, there were times where they would have a Dennis Schroeder, Cade Cunningham, Asar Thompson lineup, and they would need to get steals and turnovers at the end of a game, and all of a sudden, they would just rip off 2-3 steals and turnovers in a row and get quick buckets because of the potential on the defensive end that Asar Thompson brings to the Detroit Pistons. Now, here's the thing. Jaden Ivey saw his team get into the playoffs, saw what they were able to do. And he knows he wants to keep this train rolling. He doesn't want to go back to 14-win seasons. He doesn't want to prove a Monty Williams right that he may not be ready to start, that he's not someone who's a winner. He wants to step into this situation that has only gotten better, and he wants to be a part of making it better. If you don't know, listen to his interviews. Listen to that and peep his energy, the type of player that he is. Look at the picture that I have on this a video, right, of Jaden Ivey screaming like he plays with so much energy. He's probably, I consider him Russell Westbrook's nephew. That's the level of energy that he plays with, and the level of fire and intensity that he plays with. There's no way Jaden Ivey is coming into next season slacking on defense. But it is that attention to defense that is what's going to allow me to really make this comparison between him and JDub. Now, I know for Jaden Ivey, he might be like, it might be hard to hear a comparison between him and JDub because he got drafted way before JDub. But here's the thing. JDub, because he was drafted later, he was more bought into doing whatever it took to win than necessarily growing into becoming an all-star level player, which is Jaden Ivey's potential. That means that J-Dub was willing to do the things like defense, dirty work, diving for loose balls, which Ivey has proven he's willing to do as well. I'm not saying he hasn't, but I'm saying he built his game around doing the little things so that now that he's elevating offensively, he still has that to fall back on when he might struggle throughout the playoffs, which we've seen throughout these playoffs. When he struggled against Minnesota, he was able to fall back on defense and rebounding, getting out in transition and things like that. When he struggled against the Nuggets, similarly able to double down on defense, creating havoc on defense, getting loose balls and deflections with that length, that 7'2" length, right? Quickness, athleticism applied across the board. Now all of a sudden he's producing in all these other areas. I think that is the shift for Jaden Ivey. What can you give this team when you're not scoring? Because that is really going to be how this team fits together. How the Detroit Pistons and their big four, their Marvel Avengers big four, Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, the Hulk. To me, that's the big four. That's Cade, that's Ivy, that's Asar Thompson, that's Jalen Duren. And their ability to work together to be able to perform at a high level is going to have to start with their willingness to do the dirty work. We're not going to get outworked as a unit ever. We will lead our team in doing the little things, the dirty work, more than anybody else. We will set that standard for Detroit basketball. That is where Jaden Ivey makes the jump and gets to that J-Dub level. Because if you're only going to be the scorer, if you're only going to be the guy who knocks down shots, you're going to have a rude awakening when you get to the playoffs and teams scheme away how to take that shot away. Now, look, his physical tools means he's going to have a great advantage. But here's the thing. I'm going to be 100% with you about Jaden Ivey. He doesn't read the game at the highest level. If SGA is like, let's say, top tier, I would say Jaden Ivey probably reads the game offensively, for sure offensively. I would say probably about 2 tiers beneath that. Now he can grow. I'm not saying he can't grow. He's not going to grow. I think he is. I think a major component that has helped him is that they've given him what I refer to as a shot package. That these are the shots that we trust you with that lean towards your strengths, that maximize your ability to help this team. And I think that as he continues to remain within that shot package, it'll maintain his efficiency and allow him to develop so that the season after, when this team is stepping into a championship contention window, which I keep telling y'all is in 2 years, not next season, but the season after, he will then ascend like J-Dub has done throughout the playoffs to a potential NBA championship run. I truly believe that. Let me get to some of these comments though, real quick. Let me see. Ray Floyd, what's good, my man? I really believe we have the most talented team in the East. No one scares me. I'm right there with you, bro. I'm right there with you, bro. I'm right there. I'm right there 100%. And I'll dare say this. I think they may have the most talented, not proving it, the most talented starting lineup in the league. In the league. When I go through. Cade, I think, is a 1A. He can go up against any other team's best player. They're still trying to figure out or get Jaden Ivey full season of being a 1B. I think he gets there. It's Asar Thompson that's the enigma that nobody really has. They don't have that guy who could perform at that level in so many other ways, right? Asar Thompson in the playoffs is going to be the guy that gets you 22 to 24 points in a game, but does so through so many other ways outside of just shot creation that he's going to be so hard to rein in and to keep under control when you also have Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham on his wings. And then when you factor in Jalen Duren and his ability to impose his physical will, like he has so much more room to grow. When they all come together, they are going to be absolutely scary for the league. There's going to be very little that's stopping them outside of their own continuity and buy-in into what is going to be winning basketball. I truly hope they're watching these NBA finals together saying, we can do what OKC is doing. We can do what OKC is doing. Marcus Sasser should be right there. Marcus Sasser, hey, my message to you, bro, is to become a dog on defense. A dog on defense. The moment you step foot on the court, you should be looking to create havoc. Do all the little things and then go get a bucket. Look, I know they're asking you to facilitate. I don't give a fuck. I don't give what they talking about. Go get a bucket, bro. Because that's who you are. You're a bucket. And if you're locking down on defense like TJ McConnell's doing, and then you come in and you light shit up like Peyton Pritchard is doing, who cares if you're facilitating and getting everybody involved? Because the reality is next season, Cade, Ivy, and Asar are going to be the dominant facilitators on this team. Asar can run point forward. I fully expect to see that. I'd be very disappointed if JB Bickerstaff doesn't have him at point forward alongside Cade and Ivy and really staggering those minutes so that you have at least two of those guys on the court at all times. right? Almost like you have Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, and Jarrett Allen, right? You're going to have two of those guys on the floor at all times, at least. I think that's going to be the situation with the Detroit Pistons next season. So I fully expect. That's why I'm so optimistic about them. But it's to say, when I think about Jaden Ivey's jump and this big four, they're going to have to be bought in the way that OKC is bought in to defense, to effort, to energy. And I'm not saying he's not, but I'm saying that's the leap that we're going to see. We're going to see a team that's extremely talented be bought into the little things that allow you to win. And their ability to form that foundational, fundamental identity, which they didn't really get a chance to do because they had almost two different seasons, right? There was with Ivy, and then there was with Asar. They didn't have an overlap. Jalen Duren looked far better with Asar Thompson. And I keep explaining that to you. Asar Thompson's defensive ability bought Jalen Duren more time to read the floor and get into position and not pick up those silly fouls, which in turn allowed him to have more consistent playing time, which allowed him to perform more consistently. All right. Said, if you didn't catch it, rewind it, catch it. But Jaden Ivey was able to allow Cade Cunningham to do far more defensively and in other smaller areas because Cade did not have to carry the offensive load. After Ivy, Cade had to carry a deeper, heavier offensive load. Before Asar Thompson, Jalen Duren had to carry a heavier defensive load, which he was not able to do. You put these guys together, you begin to see how they fit. You begin to see how they fit. I think next season we see a team that's bought in. We see a team that focuses its identity on playing hard-nosed, physical, athletic, tenacious defense. And if I'm honest, and this is why I like the term, what was it? Jump squad, Detroit Pistons jump squad, because they should be jumping all over teams just like OKC is doing. Just like OKC is doing. In the same way that Oklahoma City has waves and waves of athletic guards and wings who are flying around, getting deflections, getting their hands on loose balls and passing lanes and getting out in transition. The way that they're able to turn you over is the same way that Detroit should be able to play next season. There's no reason why between Ivy, Cade, Asar, Ron Holland, and Marcus Sasser, they should not be able to play intense, physical, athletic defense that swarms teams along the perimeter and even on the interior. And even on the interior. Jalen Duren's playing cleanup. Tobias Harris is that veteran who knows where to be. But I think that how they should be approaching this offseason is how do they reinforce, maintain that level of versatility and athleticism off the bench. I think Bobby Clinton can play that, but his ability to play that way will directly dictate if he leapfrogs Simone Fontecchio in the lineup. I think their draft pick, as much as I love Chaz Lanier, the other dude I keep telling you all about that slept on, I know he slept on. It's okay. It's okay that he slept on, right? Guys get slept on. I like Drake Powell out of North Carolina. I like Adu Thero out of Arkansas. I like Chaz Lanier, like I said before. But the dude that I really liked out of Florida State, Jameer Watkins. Jameer Watkins reminds me of a Iman Shumpert, except he's 6'7". Athletic, guard, wing. He can defend multiple positions. Playing at Florida State, he had to play offensive initiator, facilitator, while being a primary shot creator. He was taking threes on volume. Wasn't the best percentage, but when you look at his form, you recognize that similar to like a Cade Cunningham, that his lack of three-point shooting efficiency had more to do with his volume of threes and the quality of threes he was taking, right? Step backs, really deep threes, 30 feet from the rim, because he had to for that offense. Whereas as he translates into the NBA, you're going to see a guy who doesn't have to take bad shots, who can make his money, as we saw during the combine when he went up against what's his name, Tahad Pettiford, who had an amazing first game. And then he made the cardinal mistake after you had an amazing first game and you set yourself apart. I think he validated himself to be a first round pick in that first game. He came back and played the second game, and Jameer Watkins, with his NBA level athleticism, length, size, right? I think he has like a 6'10, 6'11 wingspan at close to 6'7, 220 pounds, good first step, used to playing physical, athletic defense. He got into Todd Pettiford, turned him over, I think, like 5 times in the first half. Um, and the rest is history. Now, Todd Pettiford, I think he went back to school. He's going to try it again next year. It's like, damn. But that's what he can be for you. Jameer Watkins can be a guy who comes in and is completely disruptive. He can come in and be a 6'7 Luguins Dort, Alex Caruso. I think he can be that level of defender, two-way player. So when I look at the outlook for these Detroit Pistons, they are going to take a jump. I think it's going to look more like OKC last season, though, when they got up to close to 50. I think they had like 52 wins or something like that, 54 wins. You guys can let me know in the chat. But the Pistons have just as much talent. In fact, like I said before, their big four, Cade, Ivy, Asar, Duran, have more talent than any other four out there. I put them up against the four of Boston, Tatum, Brown. I guess you would say Porzingis, Drew Holiday, something like that. Whoever you want to sub in there, they have more talent. Not to say they're more proven, not to say that they have more pedigree in terms of all stars and all that other stuff. They don't, but they have just as much talent, if not more. Cleveland, same thing, more talent. Jaden Ivey is 6'5". Cade Cunningham is 6'6", 6'7". Sometimes he looks like he's 6'8". Asar Thompson is 6'7" with a 7-foot wingspan. Right? Duran is 6'10" and change with a 7'5" wingspan, 260 pounds of muscle. Right? Like when you look at that type of size, physicality, right? Because remember, I said talent is your physical gifts matched with your developed skill, matched with your motor and willingness to apply it. When you have those things collectively, that is your talent. Now it's up to you to show you can do it consistently. And that is what I think we see next season. We see consistency. That's going to be what we see. I do not think at all that for next season to be a success, Asar Thompson's got to be knocking down 2-3 threes a game, and Ivy's got to average 25, 26 points a game. Cade needs to get to 30 plus points per game. Duran needs to, get to 18, 20 points a game and stuff like that. It's not about the scoring. It's about consistency and maintaining an identity of defense. Consistency and maintaining the identity of defense. If Ivy comes in next season and he gives this team his all on the defensive end, when you match him with Cade and Asar and Harris and Duran and Holland, Sasser, and Isaiah Stewart, this team's defense is going to be, I dare say it can get close to top 5. It can get close to top 5. Like I keep telling you guys, defense is what gets you to championships. Some of y'all want shooting. You keep talking about shooting. Yeah, shooting is great. I'm not knocking shooting at all. I'm not saying shooting is not important. I'm not saying it's not a valuable part of a team's success. I'm not saying that teams should not make sure that they have good shooting out there. But if you look, I think OKC won the last game, game 4, making only 3 3-pointers. I think it was the lowest amount of threes made in the NBA Finals win over the last 25 years. I think they said something like that last night. Shooting is great, but it's defense that gets you there. And if you have a good enough defense that'll keep you in games, it'll buy you time to get yourself going offensively and to find opportunities to knock down threes. Shooting is tertiary to the defense, to the culture and identity of a team. That's the jump. Get to some of these comments. Appreciate you, Broderick Hunter, for being in the chat. Let me see. Ivy plays with a refusal. I refuse to lose mentality. The Pistons are stacked, in my opinion. Just let them keep growing together. I completely agree. Let this team grow together. Let this team grow together. And if you're in this chat, if you've enjoyed this live so far, smash the like button for me. Hit subscribe, the bell for notifications. I really appreciate having y'all in here. This is a community that I'm forming here at The Rock Never Stops because there's always something to talk about with the game, whether it's the finals, the playoffs, the draft, off season, summer league, all that other stuff. There's always something to talk about. And I'm here to be in community with y'all and chop it up and enjoy having a conversation. You know, when I look at this team, I think we all left this past season with the sentiment of saying they deserve a chance to play together and see what they can do. I think it goes even further than that. Not only do they deserve a chance, they deserve a chance to make the Pistons great again. I ain't on that make America great again stuff. Don't even confuse that. Make the Pistons bad boy, hard hat, lunch pail, go to work, day in, day out, upset whoever else everybody wants to win. We don't care. We don't care. We out there to win. And I think that that's what the Pistons have an opportunity to become. Right now, Trajan Langdon should not be looking at a trade for anybody in their four. And it may sound asinine to say like nobody, not even like a Luka, nobody. Look. When you tell your organization from the top down, these are our guys and we believe in them, it does something within the organization. Look at Oklahoma City. You look at Indiana. They believe in their guys. As an organization, they believe in their guys. And their belief has trickled down into their development, into their ability to fulfill that potential. And you have seen those organizations take jumps. Even the Knicks, top down, we believe in Brunson. We believe in this squad. We believe in Josh Hart. We believe in this Villanova Knicks type energy. We believe it. We are doubling down and betting on it. And when an organization says that about a group of guys, it allows for them to grow and play with a level of confidence that teams like Charlotte, teams like Chicago, teams like Brooklyn, teams like the Wizards, teams that are still struggling, Sacramento, right? Teams that keep changing their identity over and over, Phoenix, uh, teams that can't seem to figure themselves out, right? It's because they keep having this high level of turnover, that they keep adding pieces to be a part of a core, but the core doesn't quite align with the coach, and the coach is trying to make the most of the franchise guy that the organization keeps making money off of, but doesn't quite play winning basketball, Charlotte Hornets, and and they're trying to, and they just look disjointed and disoriented. The Detroit Pistons have an opportunity to be so much better, to be so much more, to be an organization that says, these are our guys. And that's what they need to move in the next season with. Now, I keep also saying you're not in a developmental stage, right? You got to show up and you got to show me. I think they will. Ivy was already doing on-court drills before the playoffs were over. Right now, he should be in the lab every day as they're looking at a potential contract extension, um, along with Trajan Langdon trying to do a contract extension with Jalen Duren. Those guys should be in the gym every day. Get to some of these points. Ray Floyd was good. My man, Ron Holland is so freaking talented. When he was drafted, I thought he would spend time in the G League. Me too. Me too. But he's a two-way beast at 19. I completely agree. Ron Holland has been a tremendous asset for this team. I think he has not only I think he has surpassed most people's outlook for him. Now, if you go back into the annals of what I was saying about him after the draft, during the draft, I said Ron Holland was the pick. I said he was the pick. I said Ron Holland and Asar Thompson together are going to wreak havoc in the league. Defensively, getting out in transition, getting downhill, putting pressure on the rim, their versatility. I think they have the ability to be absolutely devastating. I think Ron Holland, his biggest jump is not going to be necessarily in terms of skill shown. I think it's just going to be more consistent minutes, right? Like the jump for this team is very reachable. It's very reachable. The jump for this team is about identity and culture and maintaining what they finished last season with. Hard nosed defense, right? Lunch pail. We come to work every single day. We're going to play hard defense. We're going to dedicate ourselves to this side of the ball. And then we're going to share the ball on offense. We're going to trust one another. But our defense is our backbone. Our defense is our foundation. Our defense is what all this is built off of. And we saw how far it could take a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder when they were bought into that. Considering how much the East is wide open. And when I say wide open, I don't mean that it's not extremely competitive. It just means that the teams that may have been the juggernauts are now looking more vulnerable. Philly, we don't know what's going on with Embiid. Boston, we know Tatum is out for the season. Cleveland, Darius Garland's out at the beginning of the year, and they look vulnerable. So now you have other teams like Orlando just got Desmond Bane. Atlanta is looking to make moves, right? Miami is probably going to look to make moves, right? These teams that are also good, the Indiana Pacers are in the NBA Finals, right? These teams are taking steps forward, and who's to say where Giannis ends up going, right? New York still got to the conference finals. They're going to have a coaching change. Guys are going to be bought in to be able to make the most of this window. I wouldn't be shocked if they figure out a way to get Giannis. Wouldn't be shocked. All that's to say is, as much as it's wide open, the teams who are positioned in terms of knowing who they are and how they're going to play night in and night out to be consistent, that is going to be the ones who set themselves apart. And if the Detroit Pistons can come in next season, maintaining the identity that they formed as Asar Thompson was inserted into the starting lineup this past season, and say, we are going to be a defensive team that gets up into you, similar to what we see from Oklahoma City, they will have the ability to potentially be the OKC of the East. And I see Jaden Ivey making a Jalen Williams J-Dub type of a leap. Not to what we're seeing currently from J-Dub, but what we saw last season from J-Dub. That progression into, oh, he's coming. He's a fringe all-star, if not getting into the all-star game because there's injuries. Right? He's going to be that guy this season. But the season after, bro, season after, I think Jaden Ivey for sure is going to be an all-star. And he might be looking like an all-NBA player. That's what I think. But as always, I want to know what you all think. I'm going to wrap up this live. Let me get to some of these comments here before I hop off, because this is an interactive chat. So if you enjoy it, smash the like button for me. Hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. Let me see. Ray Floyd, shooting is important, but when those shots aren't falling, then what? Defense. Facts. Defense will take you far. Broderick Hunter, another plus, in my opinion, the player's mentality. Facts is a coach's dream. They all have bought in and take accountability for collectively getting better. If you listen to the interviews, listen to the interviews of OKC, SGA, J-Dub, Chet Holmgren, all of them are just committed to the process. We're learning every day. We're just going to keep getting better. We know we're talented enough. We believe in ourselves, and our organization believes in us. Our coach believes in us. We're just committed to the process. JB Bickerstaff, you need to communicate that you believe in these guys. Jalen Duren has so much more to go in potential. Asar Thompson has so much more. Jaden Ivey, right? I am, and I'll say this: Jaden Ivey is probably closer to his ceiling than Asar and Duran. Cade is probably even closer, right? He's probably got one more solid elevation, gets the turnovers down, and he just becomes a consistent, 28, 6 to 8 rebounds, 6 to 8 assists a game, right? Really efficient, right? That's the next jump for Cade Cunningham. Um, Jaden Ivey maybe has one or two more jumps. Asar Thompson, I think, and Duran have 4 to 5 more jumps. JB Bickerstaff, you have to communicate that you trust those guys and you are bought in and you believe in them. Because if you believe it and the organization believes in it, it'll create every opportunity for them to grow into who they can be. Now, I got more videos coming later. Got Asar Thompson, the X-Man. That's what I call him, the X-Man. Um, I think he's going to have an incredible jump. And I want to compare his brother, Amen Thompson, to what we could potentially see from Asar Thompson. And so I'm going to do some more research. Yeah, I've watched all the games and all that stuff. I'm going to do some more stuff as well. But hey, if you enjoyed this video, smash the like button for me. Hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. I'm going to get at y'all next time. Peace.